What's up, everybody? It's your favorite hood healer. It's your favorite hood high priestess. It's your favorite motivational dominatrix. It's your favorite auntie, captain, goddess, king. Ladyspeech in the place to be, and I want to welcome you back to this here channel. You could be anywhere in the world, absolutely, positively anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, you are somewhere in the world, and you're also right here with me, sharing a bit of time and a little bit of space. So thank you for that. If you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, if you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with everything I put down on here, okay? I'm here for you. Anytime you press play, anytime you press replay. Now, let's break off into today's video, shall we? All right, y'all, you know what time it is. You know what the deal is. You know what's going on here. You see the hashtag, you see the title, and you see this pink sparkly background. It is time for another installment of dun 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 dun. Woo! Ask Ladyspeech. That's right, we're back. Y'all keep asking these questions, and I keep enjoying answering them. So we're here. We're here. Usually, so far, you've seen most of these questions come from a TikTok. Shameless plug. If you're looking for some quality content to follow on TikTok, do so. Follow me on TikTok. You can be part of the 85,000 people who enjoy my shenanigans. My TikTok is Ladyspeech Sankofa. Also, feel free, I invite you to follow me on Facebook. I know how archaic. Ladyspeech, that's my artist page. Follow me on Twitter. Hello, that's still cracking. Ladyspeech is my @ and if you happen to be on IG, the new IG is Ladyspeech Sankofa. Yes, yes, yes. Some of you probably already followed me on my old IG, which is Ladyspeech, and that got shut down at 25,000 people. I'm still mad about it. I'm still mad about it. But here we are. Here we are. Usually, these questions for this Ask Ladyspeech series so far, they've been coming mostly from my TikTok, but today, this question is coming from my YouTube. Specifically, this is coming from another Ask Ladyspeech video. And this video that this came under was Let's Talk Ancestor Acceptance and Ancestor Healing. So this question is, let's just go ahead and take a deep dive into it. Let's deep dive into it, baby. This question is simple, good, juicy, straight to the point. How do we connect with our ancestors? Let me read that again. How do we connect with our ancestors? Well, let's talk about it. When it comes to connecting with our ancestors and how we do so, one of the first things that I advise people, that I remind people is, your ancestors have been connected to you since the day you were born. It's super important to remember this. Connecting with any part of your spiritual team is just like connecting with people who have flesh and blood and are walking around on this planet. It's about building relationship and establishing connection. A lot of times when we think about establishing connection with our spiritual team, a lot of us come from the perspective that we've got to flag them down, we've got to wave them down, that we've got to get their attention. And the fact of the matter is, you have their attention. They've been walking with you from the moment you got earthside. All right. So when we absolutely understand this, when we know that the connection is solid on their side, when we know that we are not lost to them, they might be lost to us, but we are not lost to them. They see us. Your spirit guides see you. Your spirit, your spirit animal guides see you. Your ancestors, they see you. Your deities, the deities that have been walking with your family, they see you. Your spiritual team, your God sees you. You are not lost to any of your spiritual team. So, with that being said, relax. The first part of connecting with your ancestors is relaxing and knowing that they are connected with you. And their connection to you is solid. Not only is their connection to you solid, but you don't ever have to worry about it, okay? That's number one. In the case of connecting with your ancestors, it's super important to understand that this is a lifelong relationship that was established the moment you got Earthside and will stay. It will stay in place even after you transition to join the ancestors, okay? So relaxing with that knowledge and that information, this is a lifelong relationship. So with that framing of this is a lifelong relationship, you're gonna step into building your relationship with, your ancestors. Part of this framework, part of understanding that this is a lifelong relationship is approaching it like you're going to build a relationship. When you are establishing a relationship with someone who is flesh and blood, a fellow human being, you're going to establish language. You guys establish culture between each other. You establish a frequency that you guys connect on. You build the relationship, okay? And you also build the relationship by discovering the natural points of connection that you have between each other. Very similar thing that you're going to do with the other side. Very similar thing that you're going to do with your ancestors. You're going to begin to approach connecting with the ancestors as if you were building a relationship. Part of building a relationship with someone is establishing a communication, establishing good, solid, healthy communication between the two of you, okay? So a big part that's going to help you with establishing communication with your ancestors is utilizing prayer and meditation. It is often said that the act of praying is connecting to God or connecting to the deities or connecting to the ancestors or connecting. It's you connecting, it's you putting out that communication, it's you speaking. Some people say that the act of meditation is the art of connecting or listening to God, listening to universe, listening to the ancestors, listening to the cosmic beings that are speaking to you. So utilizing prayer and meditation to speak to your ancestors, quite simply. Now, there are formal prayers, and depending on the spiritual system you study, depending on what your practice is, those will dictate a lot of the formal prayers that you have. But then there also are going to be very private and informal prayers. I'm going to be straight up with you. There are moments when I speak to my ancestors very formally. Usually that happens under some type of ceremony or some type of ritual. There are other times when I just speak to the ancestors and I talk crazy. I definitely talk crazy to my ancestors, and my ancestors talk crazy back to me. But simply just talking to them, because I absolutely understand, and this is something I want you to understand, your ancestors are around you. They can be called right to your side. They can be called in very formal places, using very formal practices. And also, I simply ask my ancestors to show up, and I feel their presence around me. So there are times when I just talk very regularly. Oftentimes, like in part of my practice, I salute my ancestor altar every day, which I make an offer. I like to make an offering of coffee to my ancestors. And during those times, the prayers are very informal. It's just like conversation. And I feel those responses from my ancestors in very distinct ways, because I have a developed and solid and a consistent relationship with my ancestors. I understand the way that they speak to me. I understand the frequency that they use. I understand the elements that they use to speak with me. I understand the ways that they manipulate parts of my world to speak with me. So as you deepen your connection and as you deepen your relationship with your ancestors, those things are going to become clear. The highways that you use to connect and to speak with your ancestors are going to become blaringly clear, and the more clear they become, the more you're going to be able to pursue them, and the more you're going to be able to fortify those highways of communication. A big part of connecting with your ancestors is connecting with yourself. You are a child of your ancestors. So much of you, from your skin to your hair, to the way your nail beds are shaped, to your laugh, to your eyes, to different aspects of your personality. So much of you is taken from so many different ancestors. So I find that the more that I'm connected to me, the more that I'm connected to my physical body, the more that I'm connected to myself, the more that I pursue getting to know me, that is the same thing as getting to know my ancestors and connecting with my ancestors. The more that I honor aspects of me, I end up honoring my ancestors. So many of my talents are the talents of my ancestors that were passed on. So many of the shape of my body, parts that I love to think about the fact that there are parts of my body that I absolutely love and adore. And every single time I pour love into the parts of my body that I love and adore, that part of me that belongs to an ancestor, several ancestors probably, is being celebrated right alongside with me. The very act of connecting to my body, the very act of loving my body, the very act of connecting to my personality, that in itself connects me to my ancestors. That in itself strengthens the connection I have to my ancestors. A couple of years ago, this thought came to me, and it's something that helps me a lot on the road of self-esteem. And the thought came to me, Spirit was literally like, you know, it is disrespectful to hate yourself. It is disrespectful to hate yourself because you are the sum of your ancestors. So when you hate yourself, you hate your ancestors. Do you hate your ancestors? Your ancestors are the reason why you exist. And yes, they are dysfunctional. They were mean. They were not so good. There were colonizer ancestors in your blood. But more than that, there were magicians and warriors, queens and kings and farmers. There were shamans, there were priestesses, there were regular folk, there were jokesters, there were all types of people who were beautiful and wonderful and divine, who are a part of your ancestry. So the more that I'm connected to myself, the more that I honor myself, the more that I pursue self-love, the more that I pursue these things, the more that I end up connecting with my ancestors. Another way of engaging with our ancestors or connecting to our ancestors is engaging the cultural practices and also engaging the activities of our ancestors. So this could look like, well, as far as you know your lineage, as far back as you can go and as far back as you are connected, engaging in the eating of foods that our ancestors ate, doing certain activities the way our ancestors did it. So if your ancestors had a particular way of sewing or preparing meat or working with metal or working with the earth, engaging in those practices, engaging in the cultural dances of our ancestors, listening to the music of our ancestors, engaging in activities from a spiritual or practical level that our ancestors engaged in, okay? So there are a lot of everyday practices that honor our ancestors as well. Another way that we can connect with our ancestors is by simply learning about them. Researching history, researching herstory, researching as far back as you can go, researching the region that your ancestors have come from. Those are really good ways to connect with your ancestors. So there's lots of ways in the spiritual realm, but there's also lots of non-spiritual ways that we already engage in that is connecting with our ancestors already, okay? One of the simplest and easiest ways to engage with our ancestors and to connect with our ancestors, and a way in which most of us are already doing, is engaging with your blood family. Engaging with your blood family and also engaging with your chosen family. I do want to say this. In the name, when it comes to people who are adopted, specifically if you are adopted or if you are not connected to your blood family, you still have ancestors. Number one, You have blood ancestors, and even if you don't know them, they know you. So have comfort and take comfort in the fact that you still have access to ancestors. Your blood ancestors remember you and they know you, even if, and they're connecting and connected to you and will be forever, even if you aren't connected to them. Number 2, if you are adopted, oftentimes those ancestors are part of your lineage as well. If you are taken on as family and you're raised in that space, many times those ancestors become a part of your lineage. I want to speak to the fact that when we look at enslavement, I'm going to speak specifically to how enslavement happened in America, the enslavement of Black people, the enslavement of African people. When we look at the history of enslavement of African people in America, there were a huge part of slavery was disrupting familial units. A huge part of destabilizing the enslaved is to rip the children away. A big aspect to Black people surviving slavery is the fact that we were able to create chosen and surrogate families that were just as tight-knit as blood families. Oftentimes, under enslavement, a child was taken from its birth mother and given to another person to raise. These mothers, even though not biologically connected to these children, were just as much their mothers as their own biological mothers were. And in this case, the ancestors of your foster mother, your adopted mother, and the ancestors of your blood family belong to you. So take comfort for those of you who are adopted or those of you who are disconnected. Your chosen families, when you establish these deep bonds, when you establish these chosen families, when you are taken into, oftentimes those ancestors become a part of a particular part, a specific part, but they also become a part of your ancestral lineage as well. A big part of connecting with your ancestors that a lot of people don't think about is connecting to the earth, connecting to the land. All of our ancestors have walked this planet. They have walked this planet. They have swam in these oceans. And because of that, you can connect. Because of that, you can connect. Do you find yourself attracted to the ocean? Are you someone who gains a lot of peace from the mountains? Are you someone who connects so solidly when in the jungle? Do you enjoy the rainforest? Are you a tree hugger? Do you love flowers? These could all be calls from your ancestors to connect with them through the dirt, through the soil, through the leaves, through the land itself. We forget that the earth is our ancestor too. And because of that, because earth is mother to us all, we are all connected. We have been, we are now, and we always will be. So connect yourself to the land. Let the land speak to you. Let the land be a bridge between you and your ancestors. Connect to the land, and you will connect with your ancestors. All right, y'all. That's it for today's video. I hope you have found this beneficial. Definitely utilize any and all of these ways to connect with your ancestors, and know that there are way more ways even than this, further than this, that you can utilize to connect with your ancestors. I want you to know and understand that it only takes one step one step, and then after that the next step, and after that the next step, and after that the next step. But that whole journey begins with the first step. So take that first step and know that you are divinely guided and divinely supported by not only your ancestors, not only your spirit animal guides, not only your guardian angels, not only your God, but the entirety of the universe is supporting you in your journey forward, in connecting with your ancestors, in connecting with your spiritual team, in connecting with yourself and your divine majesty. All right, if you made it to the end of this video, gold star for you. Congratulations. I appreciate you so very much for your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you know the drill. You know what time it is. If you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, if you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, then make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with all these shenanigans and happenings and going ups and going downs and things. I'm here for you anytime you press play, anytime you press replay. Now, just in case no one has told you today, you are divine, you are magnificent, you are beautiful, and you are important. Thank you for surviving everything you have survived. And on that note, you have a good morning, a good mid-morning, a good afternoon, a good mid-afternoon, a good evening, a good night, a good middle of the night, a good day, a good week, a good moment, a good month, a good year, a good life. And I will see you in my next video. Peace.